All right, we're all in. Is everybody recording?
Hey.
Okay. I just started mine,
Yes,
so.
recording lovely.
Excellent. Well, I guess we'll just roll in. Hello and welcome to a Behind the Locked Doors, a podcast thing where we sometimes have surprise guests. Yeah. Hello. I am Scott Paladin. I am writing a horny werewolf noir audio drama called It Takes a Wolf.
I'm Sam Stark. I am writing As in West, which is a spinoff of Unspeakable Distance.
And I'm Mike, also known as Interiority. And
Hi, I'm Jack, and I'm
Sundered.
also working on As in West.
And I'm Mel Nichols, and I am gate crashing.
Yay!
We were
Yay!
just waiting
Welcome,
around
Mel.
for everybody to join, and then like,
And
oh
we're
look,
so
surprise, a new person. Well, not new person. We an old friend. Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a really good bit that you guys did because the camera
Yep.
came on and Mel was just sitting in Sam's usual
Ta-da.
chair, like in the physical room that Sam is usually in. We were like, oh,
Mel is visiting
that's
Seattle.
Not Sam,
for a
but
few
hi.
days, so it's been very
Great.
fun. Yes.
That's
Yeah,
delightful.
especially
What a delightful
compared
surprise.
to LA, where I was last week.
Is it nice and cool there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet. It's like
Woof.
officially summer
Okay.
now, so everybody's experiencing heat waves.
Yeah, it's like heat index of
Oh,
100
I'm so sorry.
back where I live. I'm looking
Ugh.
so
And
forward
really
to
bad
going
humidity
back
here,
home to
too.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like last week up here, we had one day over 100, which is like I moved up here
Yuck.
to like get away from this shit, and it's got followed me now. So no, thank you.
Gross.
To get away from that, yeah.
Okay, we've gotten sidetracked now because of changes. We're supposed to do check-ins and see how people did. That's the format. I did okay.
yeah.
I said that we were gonna have
How'd
a
you
family
do,
in town
Scott?
last week, so I was like kind of wrote that entire week off. I was like, nah, we're nothing's gonna happen there. But I did manage to get some written. I was like literally last night, if you were on the Discord, people saw me being like, I'm just gonna cut like this 1,500 word segment and throw it out. And then I worked on like that for a minute more, and I was like, you know what? No, let me take it back. Let me put this back in here. So resurrected the darling, put it back in. So I'm feeling good about my progress. So
Cups
episode
it in
9 is
both
like
hands.
2/3, half 2/3, something like that done. So yeah. How did Jack and Sam? How did y'all
Hell
do?
yeah. Good shit.
Mhm.
So my homework's not completed, but it is in progress.
Mm-hmm.
I am working on beefing up the second episode, and what I realized as I was doing that is that I don't have a clear enough memory of what happens in the West episodes, and I was like, okay, I need to go back and re-listen to a few of those. So I've been doing that while I work on beefing
Cool.
up the second episode. So
What's
it's in progress, but it's
hilarious
not
is
completed.
I was also trying to do my homework and I got some of it done, and then I remembered that I don't remember most of the West episodes, which I recorded myself. So I have also been kind of going back and re-listening to things. And because I was listening to mine, I was like, oh no, I have to listen to Mike's too. Oh dear. Oh, it's such a chore. And then I was like, I should probably just listen to Jack's too.
Yeah.
So I'm actually also going back through. But it's very helpful because it's like
We're all doing
reshaped the
re-listen
world,
together.
recontextualized everything in my brain. And I think that I may have decided on a few casting things, which is kind of
Cool.
fun. And I've fleshed out a couple more character ideas. So I haven't actually, finished what I wanted to get done for this week, but I did a whole bunch of other things. So
Yeah, we're doing other things. Also, quick shout out to Quill.
Yeah,
who I know
it's
listens to
great.
This show. Quill, your
It's
last
really
episode
good.
is so fucking banger in Unspeakable Distance. I
Yeah,
listened to it last
yep.
night for the first time in a hot minute, and I was like, "Damn, this
I
shit
want
is
so
fire."
bad.
Like,
This is
it
heavy
slaps.
spoilers,
It's so
but
scary.
I want so
Shout
bad
out.
to have bits and pieces of others from Unspeakable Distance in As in West. I would love to somehow fit Quill's storyline into the As in West storyline. I just really I gotta yeah.
It's got to
Yeah.
be in there because it's very intertwined with Az's like backstory. So I think
be
it's
so cool.
really
Yeah.
It'd be so
baller
cool.
if the
It would be
Francisco
cool, yeah.
entity
Yeah.
shows up somewhere in there.
Okay. Yeah. We were. Yeah. We were in.
I kind of
Okay,
did
anyway,
as
Mike, how'd you do?
predictably well, and not so well as I said last time. I had a very busy couple of weeks. I got older, so therefore I lost more cognitive function. So it was even more difficult to write. No, I got I got a couple more like 100 words down before my eyesight started to fail even more, and just generally more infirm as things went on. It's. I mean, to be honest, most of the work has been done in a like just sitting down and thinking about all the stuff I've written so far, and like going, oh, I actually want to change all of that to this and all of that to this, and I need to sharpen up the characters this, which is all very gratifying. It kind of makes me even more excited about it. Like the temptation to just go back and edit rather than plowing forward and getting stuff drafted is very, very real.
Yeah.
And I've also been
real.
procrastinating by getting like stuff around the show sorted out. I mean, I have because I've got a production partner now. I have now engaged an artist to do the show art, even though I haven't finished writing all the scripts yet, which is
Yeah.
probably cart before the horse, but it's very, very exciting. So
Yay!
Very exciting.
yeah.
Having some of that ahead of time
Well,
to
that's
like
super
use it
exciting.
for like when you having art for the casting calls and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's all really good
Yeah.
to have.
Yeah.
So it's getting started on it sooner, and it takes
Yeah,
longer
yeah.
than you think. So
Yeah.
you're probably not actually that far ahead.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I'm quite excited about is the main
Yeah.
character for the show.
It takes time to
who
draw
is an
things.
alien,
Ugh.
and it has like a robotic encounter suit. I have a very vague idea of what that looks like in my head, but I don't have any of the specifics. When I come to write about it, I'm always like, I can't say anything specific about this because I haven't figured it out yet. The person who is my artist, who is lovely, a fantastic kind of person who's worked in animation before, is very, very adept and experienced at doing character design. So like the full animation character design sheets where you got like your figure in various different poses and various different places.
Oh,
And
bless.
one of the things I've commissioned them to do is help me design my main character. So we're going to kind of sit down, kind of go through kind of the
Yay.
concept of it. And hopefully that will help me kind of solidify in my head what this person looks like, how they interact with their environment, and then that will help me with the writing. But yeah, that's going to be exciting to see.
Yay!
Yeah.
That's very cool. Well, Mel, how have you been doing since we talked last?
I think the last time I was here,
Yeah,
my
tell us
homework was I
everything,
wanted to
Mel.
at least post the casting call, be brave and do that. So not only
And
did I
did you?
post the casting call, I got shit cast, and we are now like 3/4 of the way through recording the entire season.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we have 2 more episodes to get done.
Yeah,
and
like the season's
2
almost
or
done
3 sessions
recording at
for
this
episode
point,
6
right?
when I get back, and then 7 and 8 will be July, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's Sam's turn to do a bunch of shit.
So
Yeah.
basically, you're making us all look like
Mel's been
slackers.
making us look like slackers for a long
Oh,
time. Mel just writes an entire fucking podcast in like what
Like
was
the
a
entire
week or
time.
It was,
something.
it was
Like,
a little more than a
it's
week.
crazy.
It was a little more than,
That's
but
true.
also
Exactly.
Mel's the
Spiders-
outlier.
Spider's Georg over here.
Yeah.
I think.
But we were
Speed-wise.
we were talking about
Spider's
how
Mel.
this is so perfect. It all just kind of came together because today we're going to be talking about casting calls, and Mel is here in my house, and she just did a casting call. So yeah.
Yay! Moments ago.
Oh, hi,
ago.
dog. There's a
Okay.
dog.
Hey,
Hey.
Do you want to be
Aw,
on the
it's
lap or not?
Twig. Hi, Twig.
Oh, it's so cute.
He wants to kiss your face.
Okay, if you behave well, you can stay. It's just the
If
floor.
not, you're going to
the floor is jail, I guess. Yeah, so we wanted to talk
is
about casting calls. In fact, I think we're probably going to have several episodes total on casting calls because I was like, there's so many thoughts,
Yeah.
right? There's so much to cover. So
Yeah.
today we're taking a more sort of higher view philosophical approach about what a casting call like does overall and what the overall structure is, and we'll get into some of the nitty gritty next time. Does anybody have? I've got thoughts, but before I launch into my thoughts, does anybody have like their opening statement that they have or questions about casting calls or?
I should probably like preface, whatever.
It's all good, both good.
That I probably
Whatever.
do casting calls differently than everybody else, or I don't know, maybe not. I really, really like to have just actors in my head and I like to write sometimes really specifically to people I already know. And then when I was thinking of there's a heist episode, another spoiler, in As in West, and I have a pretty distinct idea of like the crew that I want. Like I want 5 really ridiculous. I guess they're like criminals with hearts of gold, that kind of thing, and they're all very very silly. But I probably won't be putting out a casting call for them because as soon as I started to kind of put the characters together in my head, I was like, oh, so and so could play this. Oh, so and so could play this. Oh, wow, so and so could play this one. So like all 5 of them, I won't have to put into the casting call. So as I write, I keep finding out that I'm probably not going to need a casting call, and that's probably bad. But
No,
I just know who could do stuff. I know enough actors now.
Listen,
yeah, there's
It's just a
something-
different
like
thing to do.
casting call is about like discovery and finding new stuff. And if what you're going for is to like look like I want to work with my friends, therefore the people I already know and I know they're good. Like why give yourself the like I think it's a perfectly valid way of doing it.
sometimes
so, like,
characters just start talking to you in certain actors' voices. That happened to me several times for 236, and you you just cast them and it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I'm
results
also
speak
the
for
only
themselves.
person. No, that's not true. I have done a podcast episode. So I have technically casted one podcast episode, and one of them was my child, one of them was Jack, and one of them was Mike, and one of them was Mel. So
Yeah. One was Mel. Yeah, it was like
so
everybody
I
who's
just
on this call,
again
and-
I did
and
not do a
Austin.
casting call. I just chose they spoke in my brain when I was writing them. I could absolutely. Okay, I don't know what this says about me, but I absolutely, when I was writing the demon, I heard Mike's voice. So, I mean, what can I say?
Yeah, I mean,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes that's how it works.
yeah, but I've only casted one thing, so I don't know how much I'll be able to give to this conversation. But
That's okay. You have thoughts. We appreciate your thoughts, even if it's like not your
oh,
deal.
thank you.
So I was thinking about Mike brought this topic up the other day, and I was thinking about how like the ultimate goal of any casting call is that you need the voices, right? You need to like get them out. But there's 2 like subtasks there within the like trying to like get people connected to you. And one is that your casting call is kind of a marketing opportunity. Like you are literally selling the show and specifically these characters to people. So you need to think like one of the things to be thinking about is like, how do I present them in a way that people want to play them? And then also the idea of you also are, it's the first opportunity people have to learn about these characters, and such that therefore you have to give them the actors everything they need to show you to let you know that they can do the job, right? Like if you leave something out of your casting call that's really important, then people are going to go, they're not going to provide that for you. They're going to screw things, they're going to give you something that you're not looking for. So it's this weird, like you need to sell characters, you need to sell the show in a certain respect just to get it in front of people's eyes. And then also you need to, you have to provide the information that people need to do in order to get cast, in order to even just fill out the form properly, but also like to get to know the characters and like give you a performance that that will be good and all that stuff. So there's like these 2 broad subcategories of what a casting call is supposed to do. Yeah. At least in my opinion. I will be happy to be told I'm wrong. But
No, I don't think you're wrong. Like the sort of the casting call kind of goes both ways. Like they're learning things about the show and you're learning things about them, and whether you all are a good fit for each other and the project.
So like possibly the most important thing you can do is pick what lines you're going to use for characters. That is, you can put as much description of a character as you want. You could write an entire paragraph. You can give a huge world diary. Don't expect anybody to read any of that. I will. Actors,
People don't
just creatives in general. We love you. We are you. Like we are. I'm complaining about myself here, but like if you put things in a document, people will just go read the lines and they'll just do whatever they want. So, that is so like literally like what you are writing, or what you have chosen, what you sometimes you're going to have to manipulate lines when you bring them into a casting call, and like, take a conversation that's a back and forth and turn it into a monologue, or do some massaging in order to get it to work. And when you're doing that, that's the only thing you expect people to like. I'm sorry, not expect. The only thing that people are guaranteed to read are the lines themselves. Like everything around it, like it's good, and some of them will read it, but like everything else is just kind of there. It's fluff a little bit.
That's really a thing? Like people will not read like the direction before they.
Mm-hmm. I am saying this because that's how I am when I do other people's casting calls. Yeah, 100%.
That's so interesting. That's blowing my mind.
I would kind of like say that although I think that is the case, that there are people out there who do that. I think like very much for myself, and like from what I've kind of like seen out there, like it's really interesting what information people choose to provide in terms of kind of describing the character and what they're looking for. Like I think it's actually kind of like a really interesting topic to talk about. A lot of the reason why I wanted to talk about this casting now is because there is a casting call that's out there at the moment for a show called Our Wars Have Ended, which is from the writers of the Siltverse. It's the new show which is coming up soon, John Ware and Muna. And like it was really interesting to me to see the reaction to that, because like the way the casting call is written, and not just the lines, although I think they've done a really good job in picking kind of like the sides for the actors to use in order to audition, and we can talk a bit more about the process of making that choice in a bit. But what I wanted to mention was that what they did in describing the characters, I think kind of goes above and beyond what a lot of other casting calls tend to do, which I think is normally kind of focused on we want this voice to sound like this, like the characteristics of this character are this, and they're usually kind of like descriptive in terms of like auditory or like physical, or something like that. And what they've done is they've basically said this casting call is spoilers for the show, and then what they've done is they've given like a really detailed account, not just kind of like the outward appearance of this character, but of their interiority as well. Think about my name, but like what sort of person this person is. And this is the performance that they want. And so it's not necessarily kind of grounded in this has to be a deep voice, it's a gruff voice, like it's like feminine or masculine or anything like that. It is someone who portrays these particular characteristics in this particular setting. And if you think you can embody that, then you are welcome to cast, to audition for it. And I think that's kind of quite interesting also, kind of like, because there's been a few more conversations around this specifically because of this casting call, in like the utility of like how do you describe the voices that you're looking for? How prescriptive are you? Do you have a very clear idea of what it is you want, and therefore you narrow down like the particular kind of aspects of it, or do you leave it open and kind of like you're looking to discover and try and find people's takes on the characters, and maybe be surprised by them? Like do you specify pronouns, or do you specify like gender, or do you just not do that? And what are the problems and benefits of both? Some people say that pronouns aren't particularly great because like they're used in so many different ways that, as well as being an enabling factor, they can also cause people to question whether they would be suitable for the role, especially in the regards of like people who are trans, like a lot of people who are trans actors coming across casting calls, whether they're kind of like described by gender or pronouns, or like saying kind of like this voice is high or low or deep or whatever, can often find themselves in a situation where they're kind of paralyzed by kind of the insecurity as to whether like they fit within that. Like who am I to say that I fit within it? And because there's that uncertainty, a lot of people don't feel confident enough to actually to go in. While cis actors and stuff like that, if you've got a gender or pronouns that fit, generally speaking, people tend to just go for it regardless of the suitable for any other aspects of it as well. So it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to know what people think, because I certainly don't have any answers about that. Like it's really interesting to think about, and kind of like what the best way to put these calls together in a way that's the most inclusive and kind of like brings in the most people. But I don't know what the best way to approach it.
When you're talking specifically about like people self-selecting, I'll tell you this: you will never have to look for like white dudes. They will show up in they will apply for everything. They will show up, they will never select themselves out. So and everybody else does. There is The way the casting call in question you're talking about approaches things, where you're just sort of like, here's the characteristics we're looking for, the personality, the performance, not specifically we're looking for this type of voice, this type of accent, stuff like that, is, I think, a much better approach, because it's one of those things where when you're casting as a director, you can often, or a writer, you can often think that you know specifically what a character sounds like in your head. You've got something like okay, this is definitely a British actor with a deep voice, and they absolutely have some gravel, but not too much. But you can get all up in that, and then that doesn't really matter, though. Like, the performance matters, and if it turns out to be somebody with a high voice and not the accent you expected, and it's a smooth voice instead of a like, none of that really matters for the character if the performance is there. That's the important bit. And so the giving people the tools that they need to embody that performance, to bring that character to life, I think is much more important than like looking for something very specific demographics wise or characteristic and voice wise. Are we all generally in agreement about that, or is it? Does anybody think that they really want?
Side,
Yeah.
Regarding kind of like, sorry.
No, definitely. Well, because
I was just going to say kind of
No, please,
very
Mike,
quickly
go ahead.
regarding kind of like the white guys like going for everything. One thing that was kind of interesting that was I was in a conversation with Ella Watts a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about casting calls and talking specifically about kind of like this casting call for Our Wars Have Ended. Like, it's going for like a month and a half, which for a lot of people, like that's a long period of time to have a casting call open. Like I know a lot of people do it for like 1 week or 2 weeks, maybe a month at most, but like a month and a half is quite a lengthy process. But Ella had said that the way she understood it was like, in order to get the people auditioning from like minority backgrounds, or like people who just aren't white dudes, essentially, you've got to have a long casting call in order for that information to kind of like filter into these spaces and catch people's attention. But also, like, a lot of people who you would want, to audition for your pieces might be people who've got multiple jobs, or like a very kind of a huge rarity of spare time, and giving them like a 6 week long casting call maximizes the amount of opportunities they've got to find the time within that to actually do the thing. While kind of like, if you're a white guy, you probably kind of got like leisure time out the wazoo because because of society.
Yeah, well, or specifically, there are lots of white guys with leisure time out there doing this specifically.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a very skewed demographic out on the internet.
Yes, and in podcasting specifically.
Yeah, and that's one aspect of something that I've seen before. The idea of like, well, let's do a long casting call. That is one version of, if you're looking for people who aren't the default, anybody who's not a white dude, cis straight dude, then that amounts to extra work, for lack of a better term. Like, you are going to have to work a little bit harder. You're going to have to leave things open a little bit longer. There's going to be more involved in finding those people because they're just not the main demographic of the internet. If you're doing an internet casting call, of course, like if you're in a neighborhood if you're in a different country, for example, and you were doing it in person, you'd have very different demographics. But if you're on the internet, you're going to get mostly white dudes. So if you're looking for anything beyond that, it does take just a little more time, a little more effort. You might have to do some more posting your casting call in other places. You can't just fire it off on Twitter and let it spread that way. You might have to find Discords. You might have to find subreddits. You may have to go look for people if you're looking for something specific. And that can be something to pay attention to if that is a priority in your casting call itself. Like, if you have written a character and you're like, they are something very specific. I remember, I'm not going to talk about specifics actually now. If you're looking for well, I just don't want to, but I remember I've seen several casting calls where they were looking for something that was like a combination of demographic information, right? They're looking for somebody who is, queer and also of a particular nationality or with a particular accent or something like that. And they would have to go back in, right? Like, you go through your 2 week, 3 week casting call and then say, oh no, we didn't find anybody we were looking for. And they have to go back in and start looking for somebody specific. And deliberately extend those times. And it's just a matter of, it takes longer to find somebody if you're looking for something that's not the default, and especially if you're looking for like somebody who hits kind of a checklist. And if that's important to you as a creator, then you just need to know you have to put in the extra work. And if it's important to you, then that extra work is, that's something you should be willing to do, basically.
Yeah. And it can be really worth it. Like the couple of times I have not done as much casting as you have, Scott, but the few times that I have cast something totally open, like no preconceptions about who is going to audition, I have been casting for some like specific checklist demographic stuff, and I have been able to find those things only by like circulating that call through specific groups of people and being like, hey, you guys know more trans voice actors, send it to them, have their friends send it to them, like try to get it to the people who would want to see it and who would be excited to play that part. I know those people are out there. You just have to get the call in front of them somehow.
Yeah. It just doesn't happen automatically, exactly like you're talking about. You have to you have to put in the legwork a little bit to find some of those people. If that's what you're looking for, if that's a priority, then make it a priority is kind of what we're saying, or at least what I'm saying. Like if it's something that you find important, then you should make sure that it is something you want to do. That means that does mean running a longer casting call, finding some people who can recommend it, new places to post it. That's something to keep in mind, and it's absolutely worth it. Those people are out there; they're excited, and people who are excited and good, like, oh my god, you will find gems in the rough out there if you if you're willing to put in a little bit more extra time.
Substitute for enthusiasm.
Oh my god,
truly,
like that is so true. Like, and it's so hard to find. Like, it's so hard to like figure out when you've just been sent a casting, like a voice or whatever. Like, is this a person who I'm going to enjoy working with?
You have no idea. You don't know if you've not met that person. You don't know.
But like, legitimately, the people who came in and were excited to work on a project and were, showing up and like doing extra stuff and like just kind of present in the Discord or sending, and making jokes on the call and making things take too long because everybody's having a good time. Like, those people are so great. Like, you want to like grab onto them and like drag them with you into other projects and everything. Is like they make it better. It's why we're doing this. And
this is a community theater, basically. That's what we're doing.
Yeah,
here
exactly.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's so valuable, and like also something that like is very difficult to find. You just kind of have at the moment with the traditional casting call. It's kind of we'll see. Like maybe some of those people will show up.
Yeah, you'll see when we get there.
Yeah,
right.
So do you guys have a feeling about overall length of sides selection? Like, do long things provide more for them, more for people to give you, or is it just intimidating and it's gonna make it too long and scare people off? How do you guys think about that?
For me, at least, it depends greatly on the character, and what I need to see from them. Because, for example, in my casting call, I had Aubrey, who I don't have. Eventually, she is going to need to be someone who can show a lot of emotional range. But I don't have any of that in the first season. Something that comes later as you get to know her. Something that's always in my head was like, I need to make sure that I hear from these people that there is the potential for that in there. So I had what I like to do is if I'm gonna do a block of text for anybody, I usually make that just one of the lines, because I don't want. I know personally when I've recorded for auditions. If you just got big chunks of text over and over again, that can be really hard to wrap your brain around, especially when you're doing multiple takes. So I gave, yes.
It takes
and then you have
forever
to, go through
to
your
record
audio
that type
and
of
edit
audition.
out whatever before you send your audition. But so for her, I put in, a few shorter things and then just one block that was longer and showed a little bit more emotion so that I could get an idea of that. But then I have other characters who are a lot more kind of quippy and surface level, for lack of a better term. And for those, it's single lines, couple lines, because I need to be able to hear that you can do quick banter as opposed to like handle a whole monologue. So yeah, it really depends for me.
I think it has much for me to do with rhythm. Like, if I need to get a sense of a character being able to deliver dialogue with a specific rhythm and like in a specific cadence, so to speak, then I will tend to provide longer sides. And yeah, like Mel said, not every side needs to be as long because that can start to feel cumbersome for the person recording and for you listening. Oh my God, let me tell you something. If you have 20 people read 3 long, chunky fucking sides, and then you have to listen to those 3 long monologues 20 times, by then you're gonna be like, I don't actually care who
20 times
plays
at
this
least.
part. I just want to be done doing
Because they
this.
do
Like,
multiple
it's
takes.
just a lot. Yeah, bare minimum.
I don't know.
sometimes.
Couldn't
Just making your own life
couldn't
harder.
couldn't be me. No, I made people read freaking T.S. Eliot at one point, and was just like, "This is the best
Yeah,
day I've
you
ever
did.
had." I got to listen to 20 people read one of my favorite. It's like, no, this is
My favorite
It's just a
film
little
ever.
treat for me.
Yeah, no, listen, it is like if you're someone who enjoys the casting process, you're gonna have a good time listening to everything because you'll be like, "Whoa, I wrote these words and someone's
Yeah.
reading them with their mouth. That's crazy."
Yeah.
Like that part's really fun, no matter how long the sides are. But it does get to be like
Yeah,
you have to
yeah.
go lie on the ground after you've listened to 20 really long monologues. Anyway, yeah, I try to check for a length of thing that will give me a sense of the person's ability to sort of get into a rhythm, if that's what I want for a character. But then, yeah, if it is like, can you do just sort of this basic demeanor, then you generally don't need super long sides. You can just give like a couple lines here and there. I feel like it is, you're right, Mel, it's so dependent on
Okay.
what type
Yeah,
of
yeah.
character it is that you're casting.
I have 2 subtopics that I would love to cover, and I have a hard out at 11. So we're gonna
Okay.
sort of rapid fire ourselves here. First,
Okay.
how do y'all feel about doing a second round of like in-person interviews or auditions for stuff?
Oh, sure.
If I would,
I haven't had to do
I don't
that.
think
Haven't had to do it,
I don't
but
think
it
anybody's
seems like a cool
if
thing.
I
to do.
I know that I'm the one that hasn't cast in here, but like I feel like that would be really important to me because
Okay.
if I hear your voice, like I don't know you, and I hear your voice, and I love how you sound, I have to at least talk to you. Like I have to know that you're a
Yeah.
person that I can work with. When I auditioned for Shelterwood, they liked my voice, they called me back, and I think that I think that they cast me based on how I read with Steven, how we worked together, and I feel like I could never do that any other way. I would have to call them in
Yeah.
and meet them over over Discord or whatever, and talk to them, like get to know them as a person at least a little bit, get like their vibe, I guess the kids are saying,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
and have them read with somebody else that I have already cast. I just wouldn't be able to just cold. Yeah, I like this voice. I'm just going to choose this person that I know nothing about.
That's I can really see. I've never done it, so except for I guess I've sort of interviewed with people, but the specifically for my leads in It Takes a Wolf, I'm like
Yeah.
I like can't imagine a world where I don't at least
You're gonna need chemistry
Yeah.
tests, my
yeah,
guy.
kind of and so I wanted to make sure that sounded like a reasonable thing
Yeah,
to do. It
yeah,
sounds like
No,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
okay, and
Like, okay, here's
yeah,
the
go
thing, right? I have only cast for single episodes, or like maybe 2 episodes, whatever. If you're doing a full length season where you have main characters who are on screen all of the time with each other that entire time, that's many hours that you guys have to spend together.
Yeah,
So
you
yeah,
need
you
that.
want to know
And
if
that's-
those
and that's
people are
something
people you can
for-
work with.
Yeah,
people
yeah.
I cast. I wound up a lot of the people who submitted are people that I've worked with before because that's my circle at this point. And this is a brand new project that no one has heard of, no one knows me. Like, so I just got a lot of people that I already knew. But the banter between the kind of core like 6 principles is really important. So that's something I could see myself having done if I hadn't got as many people that I knew. But these are people that I'd worked with that I knew had worked together. I have Lindsay Zana and Kirsty Wolven, who were Amity and Dingo in Breathing Space. I know they work off of each other really well. So things like that. I didn't
Yeah,
even
they're
have
great.
to question.
Yeah.
yeah. Cool. Okay. And then I'm interested to hear. Well, we already touched this a little bit. Mike brought it up earlier. The idea of spoilers in the casting call. I've seen casting calls where I'm like, I know this was written such that you're trying to obfuscate stuff about what you're writing because you don't want to spoil people. But that seems really stupid to me.
I agree.
That like, yeah, where like you. There have been studies. People enjoy things more when they know more about it, and information's good. And you should be giving people as much information as you think that they can ingest reasonably. Like, you don't want to be like writing 5,000 words descriptions of every character, but like you should tell people about stuff. Like they need to know.
Especially things that have happened to them. I feel like, especially that casting call that Mike was talking about that has been going around, has some like stuff in the sides before the actual sides that's like, here's what this character has gone through. Here's the stuff that is like plaguing them, and that is so helpful in like portraying a character, is like knowing like the weights that are on them that you can't visibly see.
Is that what you mean with spoilers? Is that what you're talking about, like in the description that like nobody reads, or in the actual lines, like like?
I mean both.
Okay.
I've seen people where I'm like, I'm pretty sure you picked those lines specifically. Well, I've also, I mean, like there's the instinct sometimes where you're like, I don't want to put this here because it's the big reveal or whatever. But I've seen other stuff where I'm like, I know that they're like, you guys are selecting lines around something, or like I've seen casting calls where I know that they changed character names, and like I saw the eventual thing that came out, and they were just they put out like generic sides basically, where like they changed character names, changed descriptions, they really obfuscated what they were looking for, and it worked well.
Why would you do that?
Again,
like, what's the purpose?
Interesting.
I don't understand it as much because I'm very pro spoiler. I personally like to hear all of the information before I interact with the project at all, or like media. So the idea of like, oh, I need to hold back this thing so that people won't be spoiled. But like, especially if the people you're working with are the ones or the people you're talking about are ones you're probably going to be working with, like they're going to read the script, hopefully. They're going to like, there's no reason to hide from them. That being said, I am toying with the idea that when I do put out the full casting call for It Takes a Wolf, I might label the changeling as a spoiler character, like where you have to click an object or click a link before you can read the information about the character, even the name. Not because I don't want people to do it if they don't want to know, but because I think if I saw that on a casting call, there is no way I'm not clicking that link. Like
100%.
I think 100%.
Clicking it.
Yeah, not as a way to like ever. I think people would be really interested in that, just wanting to see that character. Then, if it says, "Oh, this is a spoiler character," there's a reverse psychology.
Yeah,
more
it's
than
almost
actual
free marketing.
Yeah.
Be like, ooh, I can see a secret if I push the button. Let's go.
Yeah. That would be
hilarious.
yeah. So okay.
Please do that and tell us how it goes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's on the list then of things I'm going to do. Yeah. Okay. So I can't imagine. I can't think of a benefit for not telling people stuff. Frankly, when I put my next casting call out, if you just want to read the scripts, you can just DM me. I'll probably send them to you.
Oh, that's awesome.
If you think that's helpful, like that's fine. Like we're gonna do a read through, and we're doing a table read at the end of the month, end of next month.
So exciting.
Which is just like the show. Like it's just gonna be everything out there. I probably won't leave that up as a VOD, but like I don't care. Like people should know the information, right? Like they should just be able to get an opportunity. And if anything. That's some more general spoilers discussion, and we don't have that much time yet, so we can talk about that later. Okay, cool. So I don't know if I have anything to sum up. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about before we do our goals? That's the word.
Just really fast, go into it expecting to have like a blast, like a fun time. It is super enjoyable.
Yeah.
To like hear people say the words.
Yeah. To that end, there's lots of things I was talking about. You need to put information into the sides that like give people information, like tell them who the character is. But also, if there's a certain line that makes you hoot and holler, fucking put that in the line. Like put the best
in there.
If you've got stuff that's like, oh, this is the best thing I've ever wrote, just like put that in there.
Juiciest shit. Put it in
if you've got something that is just good, just put it in there. People, they'll want the actors will enjoy reading it. You'll enjoy hearing it. It will make things better, and that will also help you determine who's good or not. Because if they don't get that that's the best line I've ever written,
Yeah.
Right.
I guess
okay.
I wanted
ahead.
to quickly add. We've been talking mostly about casting podcasts and audio dramas and stuff, and the majority of the things that I audition for as a actor is audiobooks. And it's so interesting hearing how different it is, because with audiobooks you gotta have the spoilers. Like you'll get in the thing like this narrator character eventually is gonna find out that so and so is actually his father, so you need to blah 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 blah. You'll get all the spoilers, and you read usually for 5 to 10 minutes. And so it was really funny listening to you guys talk about how, sitting through long
short
people who cast their audiobooks, they're listening for hours to people read long sections of their book, and it's the same long section over and over again. So it was very interesting hearing the differences in the casting stuff. Just wanted to put that out there.
Some of that will also be in the realm of most of us have been working in the context of hobby projects where you're not paying people. And there's a certain amount of, I don't want to make a bunch of people do a bunch of work
for free,
just so that I can do my thing. So there is a certain amount of pushing that pressure down. Whereas if I was casting a thing where I'm like, well, I may be paying you real money for this. I won't mind you asking for a little extra, give me a little bit more from you. Okay, let's do goals real quick, and then I have to go jump on another conference call. So by the time we meet again, it's going to be July. I need to have episode 9 done like next week, and I need to be working on revisions by the time we do this.
Okay.
So that's my goal. I think that's reasonable based on how things have been going. So
on your progress.
So I need to be done with 9 and be like into the first set of revisions.
Cool.
So.
Mine will be skeletal outline-ish thing of the next episode of As and West.
Okay.
And you need to get me the beginning of.
Oh yeah, I've already written that. I forgot to send it to you. I'm sorry.
Oh my god, thank you. Okay, so you actually did more homework than you thought. I need to finish beefing up episode 2.
I need to finish writing episode 3 and start on episode 4.
Cool. Mel, do you want to set a goal? I don't know when you'll be back.
But the thing that I need to do when I get back from this trip is I have some take notes to get done, and then I have a bunch of proofing to do, because I have 3 out of the 5 fully recorded episodes I have vocal cuts for. So I need to go through and proof those before I pass them on to Sam.
Yay!
Perfect.
Cool. Excellent.
Yay.
Well, in that case, we will catch the audience in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, this is fun.
So thanks for joining us this week. And if you want to learn more about the podcasts and projects and all that stuff, then you can head on over to www.library.horse. Or if you want to give us a little bit of money, help us make these things, then go to patreon.com/cursed knowledge. You don't get anything for it. You just, put some green in our hands so that we can make some projects. Anyway, later.